average, we make about 35,000 decisions a day. It's a constant struggle between what is right and what is more enjoyable. Now, within those 35,000 decisions, you need to make financial decisions as well. Where do you turn to for that? Do you just wing it? Because that's an option. But just like a child needs a routine, I think every single person needs a structure when it comes to their finances. Today we're going to be piecing everything together, and I really do think it's time for you to take your financial matters seriously. My name is Marnus Mostert, and this is the Pursuit of Moneyness. If you've just joined us for this series, I highly suggest you jump back to episode 1, as this episode might be a tad confusing if you're only joining us now. But nonetheless, before we start, just a small disclaimer from my side. There's so many variables behind this structure's calculations. It's impossible to speak to a broad audience. So what you'll find today is that I'm not trying to confuse you with many calculations or figures. I'm rounding everything up. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you to understand. Because anyways, the figures that I'm trying to show you today will never match up to anybody's figures. Each and every person is different and has unique needs. Let's jump into the two practical examples. The one person is extremely disciplined, the other person is a bit older and he lacked the necessary discipline up until his age. So can the structure work for both of them? Let's see. This is dedicated Darren, and he is 30 years old and he earns 30,000 Rand a month. He's got a vehicle loan of 200,000 Rand and a bond of 850,000. He wants to be debt free, he wants to save for tertiary studies for his kids, and he wants to retire comfortably. Step number 1, he's going to draw up a budget and save 1,000 Rand that he's spending elsewhere. He's also going to accumulate a baby emergency fund of 12,000 Rand. Step number 2, he's going to save 15% of his salary, giving him a tax return of 1,395 Rand a month. He's also going to invest all these funds in low-cost funds. He's going to take the 1,000 Rand he budgeted, the tax returns he receives, as well as the usual premiums for debt. And he's going to make use of the debt snowball method I teached in episode 2. He's going to pay the car off first with all the extra funds, and then once that is done, he's going to attack the bond repayment with a vengeance. What's the result? He's going to be debt free after 8 years and 6 months, 57.5% sooner, saving him nearly 625,000 Rand in interest. After all debt has been cleared, we can finally look at some medium to short-term needs. Now remember that he wanted to save for education, but now that all debt is cleared up, he can use all the previous payments he was used to paying, plus the budget, plus the tax, and invest that into education. After just 3 years, he will have more than 500,000 Rand at his disposal to use for tertiary studies for his kids. Now that we've taken care of his debt, taken care of his education needs, we can jump back to his retirement. Seeing that he's no longer paying debt or anything else, he can allocate all the debt repayments, the budgeted amount, as well as all the tax returns into retirement. Naturally, he's going to max out his contributions, which is 27.5% of his salary at the time. But this is okay because all the additional funds create opportunity for other investments. After maxing out his retirement contributions, by age 65 he will have an excess of 3.7 million Rand, which means roughly a 19,500 Rand monthly income. But remember, we utilized all the additional capital available and invested that in other investments. This will accumulate another 2 million Rand and another 10,500 Rand per month in income. The total 5.7 million Rand in today's money, or alternatively 30,000 Rand a month in retirement income. That's a pretty impressive scenario to find yourself in, I'm sure you'll agree with me. But the real question to ask is, what would have happened if he did not implement the structure? Well, first of all, he would have paid off debt until age 50 instead of age 38, 39, which would have made it very difficult to plan for tertiary studies for his kids. But over and above that, if he just kept on saving his 15% of his salary up until the day he would have retired, the retirement income would have been 11,500 Rand in today's money. He ended up with 30,000. So almost 3 times more in retirement income, whilst he satisfied his short and medium term needs. That's the point of this structure. Some of you are thinking that I'm not 30 anymore. I haven't been saving 15% of my salary up until now. So does this structure still apply to me? I mean, my retirement is looming and I haven't saved enough as yet, but I still have debt repayments that I have to adhere to. So where does this whole thing fit in my life? Because it seems as though that you have to start early and contribute a lot into retirement for this whole structure to work. Let's look at the next person and see if we can help you out. Let's call him Too Little Too Late Tom, aged 50. He earns 60,000 Rand a month and he's a mere 15 years away from retirement. He also has a 682,000 Rand bond. The difference is he only saved 5% each and every year of his salary. He's very concerned about retirement. Step number 1, he also saved 1,000 Rand in his budget and he also accumulated a baby emergency fund. Step number 2 is retirement. Now, as we mentioned, he only saved 5% of his salary. Currently, he's getting 1,189 Rand back from SARS and he's going to implement that now. He never used to do that. He's also going to invest in low-cost funds. Step number 3, we looked at the debt repayment. So now what he's going to do, he's going to take his 1,000 Rand budget money, the tax returns and all the usual premiums he's used to paying, and he's going to allocate everything towards the bond. The result is paying off his house 9 months sooner. Consequently, he's now freed up all his previous debt premiums, as well as the budget amount, as well as the tax return. Guess what's next? Step number 4, retirement, the thing he was worried about the most. So essentially what he's going to do is allocate all the available funding we just mentioned into retirement. He's also going to max out his contributions of 27.5% of his salary at the time. But once again, this creates an opportunity for other investment vehicles. Come age 65, his retirement fund will be on almost 5.2 million Rand, generating about 27,500 Rand a month. The other investments total to 1.5 million Rand. And also generating a 10,500 Rand a month income. The total 6.7 million Rand, eventually generating a 38,000 Rand monthly income in retirement. Seems like it wasn't too late for little old Tom, but the big question, what would have happened if he did not implement the structure? Well, first of all, he would have retired with a retirement salary of 3,800, perhaps if he was lucky, 4,000 Rand a month. Now, for somebody earning 60,000 Rand, I don't think that's going to cut it. With the structure, it helped him, with all the reinvesting, it helped him to achieve an income of 38,000 Rand in retirement. That's pretty impressive coming from 3,800 Rand. But what's the lesson to be learned here? I took 2 completely different people in different life stages. One that was very dedicated, one that was a bit late to the party. And the structure still helped both of them. But I'm not going to lie, guys, it takes a bit of discipline from your side as well. I can hand the structure to you on a silver platter. If you're not going to have the discipline to save that 1,000 Rand in your budget, and definitely the discipline to reinvest all tax returns, whether you're saving 5% like we just seen in the example, or already 15%, even higher, the discipline comes in utilizing the tax returns for all your different needs. And that's why I said that each and every person's scenario is different. The structure needs to be tweaked in order to fulfill your needs. But hey, just before we end off, I've got fantastic news. My team and I are working around the clock to actually develop a website that will have all the tips and tricks, all the calculators. So from budgeting more effectively, from structuring your debt, all to the retirement contributions and tax you should be able to claim back from SARS, and how all that can snowball and be implemented in your personal financial structure. So we're working on all those, as I said, tips and tricks and calculators to guide you through this roadmap. But guys, certainly from my perspective, I'm not sure how anybody in times that we are living in can afford not to implement some sort of a structure. I'm not saying mine is the best or the one that you should follow. I just tried to make one that's extremely easy to follow with only a little bit of discipline required from your side. I'm not asking you for extra money. I'm not asking you to go and work a second job. All I'm doing is I'm essentially asking you to think about what you're doing with your money. Think about that tax return from SARS. You don't have to spend it on a holiday or something unnecessary. Same with the R1,000 budget. You're already spending it somewhere. Just find that R1,000 and implement it somewhere else. You won't feel the effect of it on your pocket. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. And I understand that this structure is not for everybody, but my recommendation is find a structure. You can't go without it in today's life. But from my side, if you've been with me from episode 1 in this series, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. But share the kindness, share my efforts with your friends, family, and colleagues. I'm passionate about helping people, but I can only do so by your help. Thank you so much. And remember to like all the social media pages and subscribing to the YouTube channel.